Your shift is officially 11 PM till 7 AM, and you can obviously browse the gallery for free at any time. We used to have a bed, but that just encouraged security guards to sleep through their shifts, so try not to fall asleep. That's my only advice. Okay, catch you later. Stay safe.
Welcome to Murnhaven's Unsolved Mysteries. Tonight, we'll be trying to solve the murder of Murnhaven's most famous artist, Mordechai Gray, brutally murdered in his loft last year. On the night of All Hallows' Eve, Gray had been painting 6 portraitures at the time. They were all suspects according to Justice Hoon, but Hoon was unable to convict any of them. Could there still be a killer on the loose? Was it Dominique Serron, the lush burlesque dancer? Or Otto Pipistrel, our now famously cancelled ventriloquist? Or perhaps Lilith Rendell, the island's only undertaker? Gray was also painting Sunday Finch, our twinless tennis star, Xavier Hahn, the reclusive clockmaker, and finally, Vice Justice Catherine Myers. Perhaps Justice Hoon was covering up for his understudy. We have all the juicy details coming up, but before we discuss those murderous muses, let's delve into the mind of a killer by retracing their footsteps on that fateful day.
Welcome to Gallery Argenta. I'm Jamie, your jovial art museum information educator. Push my buttons and see how I respond. Better known as her alter ego, Miss Moonstruck, talented dancer Dominique Serrant regularly performs her bewitching blend of ballet and burlesque at the Moonstruck Lounge. At one time set for stardom on the West End stage, Dominique's path took an unexpected turn due to a tragic death in the family, but London's loss soon became Merle Haven's gain. As the last remaining funeral director on the island, Lilith Rendell ferries Merlehaven's souls to their final destination. Angel to the bereaved, she comforts those left behind, whilst pioneering carbon-neutral cremations and burials using compostable coffins. Otto and Pip are Merlehaven's most famous comedy duo, having secured Best Comedic Performance for 3 years running at the prestigious Golden Auk Awards. Pip also has his own solo career, which includes a best-selling children's book and a cartoon series based on the Pip is Hip universe. Professor Catherine Myers is Merlehaven's current Vice Justice, serving under Justice Hoon, and is directly responsible for maintaining criminal laws and rehabilitating offenders. She's also the mastermind behind Merlehaven Manor, the island's only penitentiary, allowing offenders to rehabilitate closer to home instead of being sent overseas. Sunday and Monday, Merlehaven's most remarkable twins, were already well known as the miracle test tube daughters of geneticists Goddard and Constance Finch. But they found fame in their own right on the tennis court, quickly becoming the world's youngest and most memorable doubles champions. Perfectionist surgeon turned clockmaker Xavier Hahn is Merlehaven's most in-demand artisan. He took a small hiatus when his mother died last year, and more recently after divorcing his wife Caroline. But his reclusiveness and rare output has made him more in demand than ever. No one knows who she is, but rumours abound. Mordechai's first love? His first wife? An ancestor? But why all the blood? Endearingly nicknamed the Mordecai Lisa, some say she bears a striking resemblance to his mother. Merlehaven welcomes people of all religions, and today, Merlehaven Chapel is at the heart of the community, hosting weddings, burials, and ceremonies that mark the quarter and cross-quarter moons. Mordecai frequented the chapel as a child, up until his mother died. A staple of popular folklore, the so-called Butcher of Merlehaven was the villain of many tales of missing pets, vanished children, and cannibalism. The island's modern-day butcher, however, takes a more cosmopolitan approach and has recently begun working with a lab that offers synthesized meat. During an excavation of the henge in 2011, a hive of secret passageways and rooms was found running all the way to the Aurora Woods and beyond. This giant crystal ball is one of the few artifacts recovered during the dig, and due to the ban on all paraphernalia of divination, is now safely homed at Gallery Argenta. Don't try to see anything in it. That would be illegal. The henge is a rock formation that was allegedly home to the last ill-fated great auk before being consumed by the founding fissures. The distance and angle of each stone also correlates with the Fibonacci sequence, which spiritual people believe affords it a great focus of power. The triumvirate were elected by the first settlers to help shape Merlehaven's future. The judge upholds the rule of law, the mayor oversees policy making, and the mage shelters all citizens together under one spiritual umbrella, regardless of their beliefs. The Merlehaven Butterfly Park and Centre for Tourism is on the north coast of the island and is home to over 2,000 exotic butterflies from all over the world. Merlehaven has its own unique butterfly species too, a merlefly, which resembles a red admiral but with asymmetrical markings on its wings. Native to Merlehaven, the wild boar is generally harmless, though sometimes still hunted for sport. It's a frowned-upon activity that the triumvirate continuously consider banning, and Gray was against the hunt too. His painting aimed to bring more eyes onto their plight. Gray's painting of the Aurora Woods is often compared to Edvard Munch's The Scream for the curvature they share. But Merlehaven residents have noticed another pattern. For them, the Aurora Woods is sister to the undulating hills, and they do share physical borders. Crystal balls were banned on Merlehaven in the mid-1970s, along with all paraphernalia of divination, and now only appear in painted form or behind secure enclosures for educational purposes. The triumvirate, who jointly agreed to the necessity of the new law, cited the protection of mental health as the primary reason. This arresting dreamscape was the second painting in Gray's dream period. Mordechai never revealed what the painting was supposed to represent, and only spoke about it in one rare interview, where he claimed that he could still hear that infernal tick, tick, tick. Controversially, some people say they can see pagan imagery in the piece. The chalk cellars are home to one of Merlehaven's largest exports, Merle Port wine. Using water from a natural spring in the Aurora Woods, the wine is said to have great healing and sometimes hallucinogenic properties. It's also the only alcohol that licensed premises can serve at all times of the day. Generally recognized as one of Mordechai Gray's more whimsical pieces, this painting depicts Marie's farm in 1975, when farmer Marie Abernathy claimed she woke up to find all her chickens were levitating, as if lifted by an invisible hand. Unsurprisingly, Marie's story was met with ridicule, with some blaming it on the work of a poultrygeist, while others called for an exorcist.
I'm Higgins, and I stopped questioning why or how this place existed a long time ago. I've updated the recordings with the truth for your listening pleasure. See how her mysterious eyes follow you around the room? I know her name, and I'm not going to tell you. You see them too, don't you? Merlehaven is a godless place, with a religion that tries to please all faiths, adopting pieces it fancies from all of them. Ironically, the chapel wasn't very welcoming at all, and was the site of hundreds of ritual executions that included anyone accused of witchcraft and anyone that spoke out against Mage Scrivener at the time. The Butcher of Merlehaven has always been one of the most respected inhabitants, with that title being passed down generationally and still unsullied. The current owners are the Milgrams, and their family crest motto is "Eat the Rich," which sounds pretty fair, considering the state of the world today. From what I can tell, the catacombs under the henge served as a safe place for the witches of Merlehaven for years. The excavation in 2011 was paid for by the Argenta family. I suppose they'd moved their stuff out by then. Everyone knows henge is used by the Luxyrus cult as a summoning circle to bring forth whatever their latest fancy is. It was, however, created by a man-made explosion during the founding fishers' search for coal. The triumvirate were 3 swindling fishermen who were so bad at sailing they got completely lost and ended up on Merlehaven. Their crew didn't have a say in whether they'd be elected or not, but they'd soon drawn up rules to ensure themselves of all the spoils and power. There are some checks and balances built in, though, as you can't have a 3-way autocracy. The Butterfly Park is incandescently beautiful, with its water fountains and Art Nouveau sculptures, and the most wonderful place to relax. That is, until you realize that the merlefly is actually carnivorous, like the Pheneseca tarquinius, and enjoys gnawing on its bedfellows. Every year, on the night before Halloween, the triumvirate organizes a secret boar hunt as a peace tribute to the incoming wave of spirits. They will never ban boar hunting unless it looks like they might run out of boars. The Aurora Woods really do scream. Allegedly, due to their strange molecular structure, they let out an unpleasant shrieking sound each time they are hit by an axe. I think it's more to do with all the drownings they've seen. Either way, I'd use a chainsaw. Banning all paraphernalia of divination was passed to stop the dead talking about what Mayor Spence had done to them. The triumvirate did what it always does. It protected itself, leaving regular people at the mercy of the afterlife without any ability to communicate with it. It was actually Angel Abernathy, Marie's daughter, that caused all those chickens to levitate. Marie knew that too, because Angel had been trying to cast a scrying spell to find her lost basset hound, but she accidentally summoned a rather grumpy spirit instead. This wouldn't have been a problem had there not been so many witnesses, along with the triumvirate having just criminalized all forms of divination. It's no surprise that over 90% of Merlehaven tourists have already tasted the pleasures of Merle port wine before their arrival. It's almost as if it contained an ingredient that was luring them here. Most of Mordechai's dream works were created autonomically, channeling the will and the way of the heart of Merlehaven itself. The future is a message to the rest of the planet, showing a clock ticking in Mother Nature, superimposed with the rituals of humanity, depicted as a pentagram. It's a prediction of death by climate change. Nothing more, nothing less. Dominique Serrant was a rare triple threat, a dancer, singer, and actor whose talents burned so bright that she landed the lead role in a West End musical as a complete unknown. No longer would she be a nobody from a nowhere island. Dominique was destined for greatness, and she couldn't wait to leave her past behind. Or at least, that's what she thought. Rising from the ashes of grief like a corseted phoenix from the flames, Dominique found her calling, performing burlesque at a local bar. She set pulses racing with her daring act under the watchful eye of her boss, Leo McIntosh. But all was not well, as patrons of the Moonstruck Lounge suffered a string of mysterious thefts, with the perpetrator appearing to use Miss Moonstruck's show as a convenient distraction. After a preposterously short courtship, Dominique accepted a marriage proposal from dull and dependable English teacher Adam Taylor. But that love-blind fool couldn't satisfy her insatiable needs. Desperate to break out of her rut, Dominique flung herself into the arms of her boss, a move that was only slightly less reckless than attempting to extort money from Mordecai Gray. Dominique, the burlesque ballerina. Whilst it seemed like everything was against her, I think we all know Dominique only had herself to blame. When Mordechai found out Lilith had been tucking into her guests, he threatened to spill her secrets unless she supplied him with bodies. So, under duress, she agreed. Mordecai reasoned he simply wanted to paint still life, but she suspected he had more sinister plans for the cadavers. How much further would Lilith go to protect them and her secrets? Lilith Rendell ate up everyone and everything that got in her way. If you knew her real secret, you'd be as good as dead. But on the bright side, she'd handle everything for you. Otto's parents lived a marriage of convenience, neither content nor alone. But as the years went by, Mr. Pipistrelle's indiscretions became more frequent and public, like the arguments that followed. A teenage Otto, sheltered in his room, and having too much time and imagination on his hands, created Pip, a best friend he could talk to whilst his parents' relationship self-destructed. Otto and Pip's comedy duets were an overnight success, bringing tours abroad and lonely nights on the road. Following in his father's footsteps, Otto drank too much and courted too many, which culminated in an overdosed and pregnant fan in his hotel room. Once Layla's story broke, Otto became a pariah, but Pip came out unscathed. Her. He would fall in love with her, and she would fall in love with him, or at least appear to. A devout fan of his solitary stand-up show, she would marry him if he would give up Pip. And so Pip was sold to the highest bidder, Mordecai Grey. From that day onwards, Otto would never see a penny more from his puppet, and Mordecai would own his most treasured companion. Otto Pipistrelle, a drunken womanizer who became increasingly jealous of the puppet he'd created. A puppet that had outgrown its master and was pulling its own strings. Catherine had too much power at her disposal as Vice Justice, and managed to rubber stamp her own Recreational Rehabilitation Act in 2017. This allowed Justice Hoon to decide what constituted a penitentiary on Merlehaven, and Catherine quickly offered her own Merlehaven Manor as such, allowing her to deal with criminals as she saw fit. Catherine was so proud of Merlehaven Manor that when she opened it up to the public, she only expected people to see how happy all the patients were. But one reporter, Kim Park, uncovered a different narrative, one of electrocution, starvation, sleep deprivation, and hypnosis. Not unexpectedly, Kim became the first overseas addition to the manor when she was arrested for littering. Since then, she has had nothing but praise for Catherine and her methods. Lux Iris was formed by the founding triumvirate to protect themselves from the spirit world. But in doing so, they created a group of powerful spiritualists they feared even more. So the Lux Iris headed underground, and anonymity preserved their existence. But Mordecai was about to change all that. Free from Catherine's hypnotic control, Grey threatened to tell the world Professor Myers was High Priestess of the Luxiris cult, and that her prison rollout was just the beginning of her world domination plans. Vice Justice Catherine Myers, a narcissistic megalomaniac who thrives on controlling others. Fortunately, Mordecai managed to shake off her spell. Sunday and Monday's story began in a lab. 2 babies, carried by 2 different mothers, generated from a single egg. The world's first human clones. Birthed in secret and growing up under the watchful eye of their parents and other geneticists, the twins developed a devoted and unshakable bond. Boosted by private lessons from world-class coaches and a genuine love of tennis, Sunday and Monday's natural talent quickly shone through. The twins dominated in every tournament, quickly rising up the ranks against older and more experienced players. Sunday and Monday Finch, spoiled brats whose names were almost as pretentious as they were. They thought they were so perfect, but they were born with fatal flaws. Always the perfectionist, Xavier's slow and steady hand killed more patients in surgery and paid out more fees in negligence than any other doctor in Merlehaven. Fortunately, Nurse Caroline, who was employed by his mother, collected enough evidence to have him struck off the medical register before he could do any more harm. Rich and controlling, Xavier's mother had been paying Nurse Caroline to look after her son, and not just in maternal ways. It had been easy to manipulate his former years by telling him he had von Willebrand's disease and diabetes. But as her dementia kicked in, she saw him as a threat and paid her daughter-in-law to murder him. That didn't quite go to plan, though. Xavier killed his mother. Then Caroline tried to kill him. Sorry, she tried to self-defense him. Xavier didn't buy it, of course, so Caroline offered to take the blame for his mother's death to prove how much she loved him, as long as he'd cut her into the inheritance he'd receive if he wasn't implicated. That's how love works on Merlehaven. Miraculously cured of his illnesses, Xavier began to question the strength of Mordecai's power and their deal. His only conclusion could be that the most famous, most beloved artist of Merlehaven, Mordecai Grey, was the devil incarnate. He believed Mordecai killed one of the other muses with a haunted clock he'd made years before. But was that really the truth? Or was Xavier just seeing things again? Xavier Hahn hardly finished anything he started. His mother hated him. His wife tried to kill him, and like a smitten schoolboy, he fell in love with his teacher.
Argenta. I've never actually met her, but she sounds lovely on the phone. She's also very lenient when it comes to breaking even. We don't often make a profit. In fact, she's mainly concerned that I keep hiring people to stay here overnight. Must be really worried about the insurance or something. Gallery Argenta's been in the Argenta family for over 100 years. Originally it was used exclusively to show and sell the artwork from the family. But nowadays Miss Argenta opens it up to the public. I get to choose most of the exhibits myself. Well, I pick a handful and then she picks from those, but same difference. As far as I know, the Argentas were a family of jewellery makers. The paintings were added once it was open to the public. Actually, I'm not sure how many Argenta pieces we have anymore. Most of them were sold or returned. There was a display case somewhere with the Argenta work in, but, maybe it's gone? There is one octagonal hidden room. I don't know where it is, and I don't want to know. Allegedly, it was used for sacrifices when the place was owned by a cult leader some 100 years ago. Don't look into it. It's icky. Higgins said he was having strange dreams at the beginning. What type of dreams? I don't want to know. Just, if it starts to affect your work, then maybe see a doctor. I'm useless at these kind of things. How did you know about Higgins? Wait, did I tell you? Yeah, it was probably me. Higgins was the security guard for 6 months before you arrived. He was our 6th guard, actually. His address was 6 St. Catherine's Court, Maidstone. 666. I'm having an epiphany. I'll be right back. Higgins was, seeing things. Things that weren't there. Hallucinations. He'd often point in the middle of a wall and say there was a room behind it. I think it was probably the sledgehammer incident that got him fired. Oh, sorry, quit. Not fired. I've said too much. Miss Argenta did fire Higgins, then agreed to accept his resignation for his CV. On his last night, he started smashing through the corridors, looking for these hidden rooms that he expected to find. Mainly, he just found the grass outside. It caused a lot of damage. No, they don't. What you're talking about is more likely psychometry. I felt the same thing when I was working the night shift. I could pick up a painting and it would show me a memory of itself. Perhaps it's really strong in you, and you think that you can see it. Don't freak out. Stop touching the paintings. There is no restoration table. Miss Argenta is very particular about that. She doesn't want any modifications being made to any of the pieces. If you find any artwork that looks like it's been tampered with, you let me know, okay? I think you're probably dreaming. Have you caught yourself asleep during your shift? I won't say anything, but Miss Argenta would not be happy. Not that she comes in, ever. Get some rest. You'll be fine. Mordechai Gray is the artist who was murdered last year. It's the main exhibition at the moment. I think you've probably just seen that phrase somewhere around the gallery. Yes, very Mona Lisa.
calling the Tips Hotline. Tips Hotline can reveal one of the innocent suspects. This is a paid-for service. Please hang up, insert payment, and redial. Have a nice day.
I'm sorry you're like this now, Mordechai. The hills have done things to you that can't be undone. The portal was perfect. And on the side of the lighthouse, you're so thoughtful. Let's tell people I'm your daughter, even though you're not a founding fisherman. The Starlings groomed witches. Still do. I was the last sacrifice, though. Do you know it rained fish after they murdered me? So it half worked. They killed Spence. We need the blood of 6 royals. There are no royals in Merlehaven, Mordechai. You must paint them. Catherine is lost. She's become evil. Although there is something I want from her. She cannot be High Priestess. Do whatever you must. There can be no royals in the church. Lilith is pure of heart, but corrupt of soul. We need 6 of the freshly dead on Merlehaven soil. Then they can be arranged. Xavier is trapped in a prison of his own making. He is controlled by his origami. Give the origami to Monday Finch. She'll die anyway, but this way she'll take it with her. I'll send Alejandra after Otto to get Pip back. You'll need to buy him. See that Dominique gets her money. She deserves to leave this place. I'll take care of Sunday's parents before their next iteration.
Gray's killer definitely knew him. Why? Because the crime scene had no signs of forced entry or exit, and only his coveted diamond orc figurine was missing. Justice Hoon, who was deputizing at the time, surmised the killer must have used a key. How did they get that key? Hoon had two theories. Firstly, perhaps Gray had befriended one of his subjects, or was having a romantic relationship with one, and thus had given them a key. Secondly, and more plausibly, perhaps the killer had simply found Mordechai's spare key. He kept it attached to a powerful magnet, out of sight, but easily within reach, above his doorway.
Apparently, dropping out of a leading role a week before opening doesn't go down too well in the West End. I'm not going to blow it this time. I've got another audition on the 1st of November. A friend of mine pulled some strings. The key is to be desirable, but just out of reach. I can tell it's working when they can't keep their eyes off me. Especially Leo. It's fun. Even Adam sneaks in sometimes, though he claims he doesn't. He thinks I don't notice. Miss Moonstruck brings out a different side of me. She doesn't care if it's taboo. She just does what feels good. It was a whirlwind romance. We met at the butterfly park, and 3 weeks later we were engaged. I can't help it. I'm a hopeless romantic. I want to fall in love so completely I don't know which way is up.
I can put
put you in touch with the locksmith, if you like. Sometimes I get a murder robbery, and I arrange getting the locks changed for the family. It's gone missing, you say?
Have you forgotten already? Millhaven Manor is not just my family penitentiary. It's a beacon of hope for people who have fallen on harder times, who want to be their best selves. Surely you're kidding, Maudie. I worked briefly for the Crown Prosecution Service in London. I thought it would be my dream job. But financial crimes were always given the strongest sentences, whilst crimes of the flesh were barely noticed. I still remember Miss Darcy's dream defence. He murdered both my parents and was never caught. My whole family dead. I was 13. I guess it stirred a passion in me.
The surrogate didn't take the same care with Monday as Mother did with me. We were treated equally from the moment we were born, but these things do make a difference, you know. Nature versus nurture. It doesn't seem to affect her on the court, though, so I suppose that's what counts. I can't remember a time when we weren't famous. I remember an interviewer asking us once if we felt like we were the same person. What sort of question is that to ask an 8-year-old? How would you even know? We have our fans, but most people just aren't comfortable with the idea of cloning. Are those diamond?
Oh, they're adorable. Look, Sunday, that's what I want for our birthday.
Oh, it's a privilege. I mean, it's great being able to influence people into bed to talk about climate change and kind of generally raise awareness for things like alcoholism. We're in London next week, then Tokyo, then New York. Drug dealer! Daphne takes care of all of it.
Speak for yourself.
All I have to do is turn up.
Because I do all the work.
We're Well, I thought my mum was going to kill my dad at one point. Pretty much why I just hid in my room all the time. I had more time to work on Pip, I guess.
What's Professor Myers like? She rehabilitated you after the lighthouse thing, right? I suppose you at least didn't paint a giant penis on the side of it. Would have gotten you more fans, though. Mother hated me being a clockmaker. She wanted her son to be a surgeon. I was a massive disappointment to her. I'd like to live a long and fruitful life, but I've inherited type 3 von Willebrands and type 2 diabetes from my mother. That's not a great combination. Nick my toe before bed, and tomorrow you shall find me a grave man.
What about you? Why are you still here? If I had your money, I'd be long gone by now. Mojitos in the Bahamas. It's this island, isn't it? Every time I try to leave, it drags me back.
No, I'm definitely a foodie. Money was a bit tight when I was younger, and it instilled me with this kind of quick or hungry mentality. Johnson's went out of business because they kept losing bits of their dead. Body parts, organs, all just going missing. I don't think their heart was in it. Carbon neutral cremations. Compostable coffins, but I still think that there's more we can do with the dead. You know, like organ donation and all that stuff. Mostly, I just like the planet to survive.
Women. I love them all. At the same time, I mean, they're just so beautiful and complex and basically like us, but so much sexier. Way to objectify. I don't think I'm ever going to settle down.
He's polyamorous. They just don't know it yet.
The surrogate didn't take the same care with Monday as Mother did with me. We were treated equally from the moment we were born, but these things do make a difference, you know. Nature versus nurture. It doesn't seem to affect her on the court, though, so I suppose that's what counts.
Jason hadn't been fully rehabilitated. He needed more help. He escaped into the community, and there isn't much more I'm allowed to say on the matter. There was a full investigation by the Justice Department that decided our security measures were appropriate. Most people think I'd like to move from Vice Justice to Chief Justice, but that's really not the case. My work at the Manor is essential for the world.
Ricardo Hollander. That was the last person I killed. Accidentally, of course. Heart surgeons need to be precise, Mordechai. Incisions I made could make the difference between months or years. But it's a factory line. They want the jobs done quickly, not well. I only do perfect. Ambition, desire. I wasted time, and now doth time waste me, for time hath made me his numbering clock. I'm dying, Mordechai.
Yes.
I live near the docks. It's a 2-bedroom flat with a damp problem, but it's only 5 minutes from work, so it didn't make much sense to sell it after Dad died. Adam asked me to move in with him, but I wasn't really ready. Maybe after we get to Paris.
I live at the funeral home. There's not much point trying to live anywhere else. It stops criminals trying to break in too. At least, most of the time.
I had this babysitter once called Holly. She looked after me for years. You know, fed me jam tarts, let me stay up late. She was great. Then, all of a sudden, she was gone. There was a lot of shouting, so thanks, Dad.
If my parents had used gift bags instead of wrapping paper, they'd still be alive. I don't really celebrate Christmas anymore.
We still live at home, but it's better now than it was. We were studied a lot growing up. Our parents' colleagues used to stay over at the house to observe us. That all stopped when we turned 18, thank God. Now that we're older, we're less remarkable.
I live next to the theatre district, so it's quite quick to get here. I'd cycle, but where would I put my bike?
I told you I don't have a key. There was a spare key above the door, but that's not much use when you're locked inside.
Locked inside?
He liked to lock the doors when he painted me.
So you knew where the spare key was?
Obviously, I just told you.
I had a locksmith make 2 keys for Mordechai and change the lock.
We only found one.
Well, then you've still got one to find.
Do you have a key?
No. Why would I? Keeps one above the doorway.
You knew about the spare?
Didn't everyone?
Didn't know about any key. Was never offered one.
Can you pick locks?
No, I'm a ventriloquist, not a thief.
We've got a record of a theft.
I stole a chocolate bar when I was 12, so thanks for bringing that up.
I didn't know about the key.
Did he ever leave you alone in the loft?
No. I don't get myself into those kinds of scrapes.
Mr. Gray's cleaner says that she discovered you alone inside the studio a couple of weeks before his death.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that. Monday left her coat behind. I went back to get it.
How did you get in?
The spare key. It wasn't hidden very well. But I was only in there a moment and I put it right back.
I told him to get one, so yes, I knew about the spare key.
Did you ever use it?
A couple of times, yes. That man was probably late to his own funeral.
Did you go to his funeral?
No. Did you?
Have you been home yet? You look... I take it nothing happened last night. If you see anything strange, you let me know. Anything, okay? I'll be in later. Hopefully.
The Baconian was founded in 1967 by Olivia Argenta, who believed Sir Francis Bacon was the true author of the works generally associated with Shakespeare. To this day, any play originally thought to be by Shakespeare can only be performed at the Baconian if it is credited to Sir Francis in the programme. One surprising fact in Merlehaven's natural history is the dramatic increase in starlings populating the island. Numbers of these iridescent birds have massively declined on the UK mainland, yet Merlehaven seems to attract more and more every day, leading to several spectacular and prophetic murmurations. What magic power does the island hold over these birds? Steve Stewart famously transported the dead in a distinctive blue station wagon until a macabre car accident in 1992 robbed him of his life and his head. Since then, several sightings of a decapitated man driving a blue hearse have given rise to the legend of the Headless Hearseman. During the freak fish storm of 1976, the first mayor of Merlehaven was hit on the head by Majesty, breaking his neck and ending his reign for good. Some scholars believe the fish storm was caused by a Concorde flight from England, whilst others point to a more sinister ceremony near the henge. Either way, Mayor Spence sleeps with the fishes now. Abernathy's Bluff is the most inhospitable rock face on the island, luring countless mountaineers to their death every year. Whilst potentially deadly for the people that take part in the sport, it's supplied millions of pounds worth of revenue to Merlehaven in tourism. Merlehaven Island was discovered in 1953 by crab fishermen who'd sailed too far out of the wash. The island was populated by many great auk, even though they had been declared extinct over 100 years before. These penguin-like creatures are still celebrated in Merlehaven's annual Auk Festival. The fabled great auk was originally thought to be extinct when the last specimens were killed in 1844 on Eldey, off the coast of Iceland. But they reappeared in 1953 along with Merlehaven itself. Sadly, for the remaining auk, they were hunted to extinction again by the crab fishermen who settled here.
Miss Argenta just called me to ask for one of the grey portraits. Just pick any one of the 6 and leave it in reception. It's going away to be tested for authenticity, whatever that means. I think they all look hideous, so they're probably all authentic.
Yes.
The bodies, the blood, the royals. Then we save Merlehaven by sending it back to where it came from.
Something has changed. Let's not start on the Argentas, shall we? But here's some food for thought. Olivia Argenta bought the rights to the written works of Sir Francis Bacon in 1966. Coincidence? Starlings are Earth's spiritual guardians that often migrate to places where immense evil is brewing. In Merlehaven's case, they're gathering on the very creature that rose out of the ocean almost 70 years ago. What do they know that we don't? Steve Stewart was a wheeler-dealer who'd take on any job. Stuffing bodies into the back of his car was just the one he was most well known for. He was actually murdered by the Johnsons. They wanted to take over his business, so they beheaded him and made it look like an accident. No wonder his spirit's still driving around the island. Real Merlers call Abernathy's Bluff Lover's Muff because of all the broken hearts that leap from the precipice into the salty embrace of the sea below. A few people even get pushed. Merlehaven is not an island, it's a creature. There is no bottom to Merlehaven. If you dive downwards, you will see more rubber-like skin that looks the same as that which is found on the undulating hills. There's no question that Merlehaven Island is part of a sentient creature. But the problem is, nobody knows what it wants. If you sit along the coastline of Merlehaven on the 16th of April, at around 10:30 you will see an army of ghost orcs deployed to the beach. It's the anniversary of their extinction. They know what you did, and they're not happy about it. They ate Majesty, you know. After saving Merlehaven from Mayor Spence, Majesty was spit-roasted by the Argenta family over a campfire at the Henge. Doesn't say that in the brochure, does it?
In many murder cases, the killer inadvertently leaves microscopic evidence at the crime scene that is later used to apprehend them. The murder of Mordechai Gray was no exception. That Halloween, a forensics expert pulled hemp fibers from the soft furnishings and wooden floor of Mordechai's loft. They were presumed to have been left by the killer, and although their precise movements could not be tracked, the freshness of the hemp fibers meant they'd been deposited recently. Forensics tracked those fibers down to one place, and one place alone. Merlehaven's butterfly sanctuary. But what did it mean? Based on the decomposition of the trace evidence found, forensics believed that Gray's murderer had visited the butterfly sanctuary just a day or two before their deadly deed.
Melhaven is the supernatural capital of the world. Everything here is either enchanted or cursed. Like my dreams. Life's too short to hold back. If I see something I want, I'm taking it. I spent a lot of time at the sanctuary after my dad died. I actually got a tattoo of a cocoon on my stomach. Butterfly felt too upbeat, you know. We're all just works in progress.
I've never killed anyone personally, but I can think of reasons why I might. That sounded bad, didn't it? Isn't it a biohazard? Is that even legal on Melhaven? So, I give you blood to paint with, and you'll give me a magical potion that cures grief?
You're really quite eccentric, aren't you? Well, thank you, kind sir. I accept your offer to make me the #1 tennis player in the world, and in return, I will gladly give you some of my blood. We learned about them in school. Pressure from underlying gases condenses and hardens the topsoil, and when those gases move around, the hills undulate. There's nothing supernatural about it. It's science.
It's fortuitous I live nearby, but Melhaven only has 1,000 inhabitants, so everybody is pretty close, geographically speaking.
I've never killed anyone personally, but I can think of reasons why I might. That sounded bad, didn't it?
I was a starling in my tweens. Duty, honour, survival. It's a bit like the guides, but you're left in the woods for a week with nothing but a penknife. I didn't go hungry. Any legislation needs my approval first, then Mayor Garcia. Finally, Justice Hoon stamps it into law. I can get anything done in a day, though. Why? What were you thinking of? I was at the sanctuary a few months ago. They asked for permission to use a specific pesticide that kills spiders. They're eating all the butterflies, apparently.
She's completely into the Mexico thing. She's been courtside in a wheelchair telling me how to improve. Well, she's been barking orders and bashing my serve, but you know what I mean. I actually think it might be helping. Most things supernatural can be easily explained, and if they can't, it generally means they're not true. I can understand the appeal, though. Monday loves all that stuff. She was the one that insisted we buy that Ouija board. Though note, I was the one that had to sneak it through customs.
Come closer. Look into my eyes. Deep into my eyes. Listen to my voice. Sebori Malavik. Sebori Malavik. Nod if you understand. Have you ever wanted to commit a crime? Just for the thrill of it? Or for survival, maybe? I'm sorry to hear that. Nobody should have to resort to crime to survive. Perhaps I could help with a little hypnotherapy.
I think it's guilt. Maybe, I don't know. Dad's gone and I'm here making plans, getting engaged and leaving him behind. I'm just trying to survive. I'm not going to let this island drag me under.
No, you're not just going to stick a syringe in me. If I agree to your deal, then I'll get the blood myself.
She told me that if anything were to happen to her, anything serious, that I should carry on and win for her. How could she talk like that, Mordechai? I don't think she's getting any better.
A former colleague of mine spent 3 nights observing the hills. Dr. Jacob. He pitched camp 500 meters away, but each morning when he woke, he was 100 meters closer. Did he move? Or did the hills move? There's barely any landmarks out there. You can tie yourself in knots if the lie becomes too elaborate. I simply said I'd left the syringe lying around and my mother injected herself. I just gave her the means. You say the hills changed you, but in a good way? I've dealt with patients who have been to the undulating hills. It cooks them, turns their insides hard. You've been a bit Jekyll and Hyde lately, Mordechai. Pleasant, then snide. I go to the butterfly sanctuary to calm my nerves. Perhaps you should too.
There's a tournament in Mexico next month, but I'm free as a bird at the moment. Monday doesn't think she'll be fit enough, so she's encouraged me to sign up for singles. But I don't think she'd ever forgive me if I won.
You said one of the tennis twins was sick. I can't legally deal out advice anymore, but I'll help if I can. I can review the medication she's on and check any results.
I was talking to the coroner's assistant about an autopsy. Shanice, she kept complaining it was too cold in the mall to work. But before we could finish our conversation, another assistant turned up, pulled out a gurney that had Shanice on it. She'd died a day before. I was talking to myself. You've got a way of getting secrets out of people, haven't you, Mordechai? Mordechai. Mordechai. Chai. I infuse their drinks with cannabis. Makes them slightly less despondent. For a while.
Yes.
Did you visit the butterfly park the day of the murder?
Briefly, yes.
And what were you doing there?
Looking at the butterflies. Thinking about the sheer force of will needed to become someone new. Why?
Just trying to establish a timeline.
Aren't we all?
I scatter ashes at the butterfly park all the time.
Wearing disposable overshoes?
Yeah. When you scatter as many dead people as I do, you don't want to be treading them about forever. My own shoes wouldn't have a trace.
I've been in and out over the past few weeks. They're appealing our permit decision.
When was last time?
Day before Halloween? Whenever I turn up, they just make a big song and dance about having to clear up so many butterfly corpses.
Do you ever visit the butterfly sanctuary?
My parents were working there. Not anymore, though.
We think the murderer visited the sanctuary sometime in the days leading up to Mordechai Gray's murder. We found fibres at the scene.
Well, as I said, my parents worked there, so there was probably some cross-contamination.
I'm a patron at the Butterfly Sanctuary. Obviously I go.
On Halloween?
No, not on Halloween. Actually, not for a few weeks. I am so behind on my work.
And what work is that again?
Making clocks. I'm a clockmaker.
Chin up. It's just one day left. Keep an extra eye out tonight, though. They're looking into Mordechai's murder case again. New evidence, apparently. Which means his paintings are going to be the talk of the town and top of any local art burglar's hit list. There's a gun in the drawer, if you need. Just kidding. Call the police. Catch you later.
Merlehaven is famously close to the spirit world, with many saying the fabric of the universe is stretched unnaturally thin here. Gray believed that most past inhabitants of Merlehaven were still on the island, including his mother. Now a spectacle for tourists, Merlehaven's coal mines were operational for over 2 decades before being shut down. Mallow coal is exclusive to Merlehaven, a type of coal that is spongy to the touch and burns brighter and longer than hard coal. However, the life expectancy of a Mallow coal miner was around 2 years, and because of this, mining was made illegal in 1975. On the 16th of April 1953, the crew of a fishing trawler first discovered Merlehaven Island. This day would come to be known as Merlehaven Day, the island's birthday, and every year it's celebrated with the arrival of the Auk Fair. The Tornado del Luna is Gray's depiction of a freak tornado that occurred in 1969, just after Apollo 11 touched down on the moon. The more superstitious inhabitants of Merlehaven thought it was a sign from Mother Earth that man should not be permitted to destroy the moon as it had her. Revenge of the Lake Woman is another work from Gray's dream period, depicting a woman rising from the lake in Aurora Woods. Some people speculate it's semi-autobiographical, as Gray's mother drowned in the same place when he was just 5 years old. Merlehaven is still a major fishing venue, and its shores offer plentiful supplies, enough to keep the whole island fed for years. The docks pictured here are built on the very same site the original settlers landed.
Can you do me a favour? I've got someone interested in one of the grey portraits. They want to buy one, but they're just not sure which one. They've asked me to choose, but I think they're all horrible. Can you pick one for me and hang it in reception? Just pick whichever one you fancy or hate the least. I'll be by later to pick it up.
Mordechai's depiction of a spirit was commissioned as an advertising poster and postcard for the Merlehaven Centre for Tourism. There's nothing remotely spooky or accurate about it. If you're lucky, you might be able to convince a helicopter pilot to land in some unmarked grassy knoll to pick you up. But since there's no airport on the island, the only way in or out is through this ungodly dock. Merlehaven is mostly surrounded by sharp, gangly underwater protuberances, and the dock is where fewest are found. But they still take out the odd ship or two. Find the crystal ball. Merlehaven doesn't have coal. Mallow coal is basically the guts of the island. It is, like they said, very powerful and supernatural. But the island wasn't very happy having its guts removed, and soon found ways to kill the miners trying to disembowel it. The mines still ooze mallow coal from time to time, where the rock face is at its weakest. The drunken pirates that founded Merlhaven didn't even know what sea they were sailing in, let alone day of the week. According to geologists, they fairly accurately concluded Merlhaven's actual birthday is the 1st of February, or the 28th of November, or the 9th of December. It's definitely one of those three. Gray idolized and adored his mother, whom he never really met, and said she would rise again and take back what was hers. He never did mention what that was, but based on what happened, maybe she was coming back for him. It wasn't a freak tornado. Marcus J. McCleary, a famous coal miner who lasted 5 years in the depths, was disgruntled that people were saying the soil of the undulating hills couldn't be penetrated by anything. Using a giant mining drill, Marcus managed to dig a hole the size of a pencil tip, but it then erupted into a huge rip that spewed out the tornado before sealing itself up again.
She thought she'd just keep the baby and I'd like pay for it and we get married or something. I mean, I said I didn't want anything to do with her or it. And that's when she took the pills. Well, I assume that's when she took the pills. She's got eyes like the Mona Lisa. Hey, maybe you should paint her, Mordechai. Hey, let's make a deal. We kissed, her and I. I don't know her name, but we kissed in the butterfly park. She doesn't speak, and then after the kiss, she just ran. And I started to chase after her, and then I thought, no, I should be more respectful. You know, if that's what she wants to do, then I should let her go. I did a charity gig for the park, but I did not expect the butterflies to gang up on Pip. I liked it. I swarmed him and turned him into one giant butterfly. It was consensual. Would you like to buy him, Mordecai? Pip, for your best price. I mean, it's for all his royalties too, so it's going to need to be a big number. I'm waiting to meet someone there.
So you've been to the butterfly park recently?
Yeah, I go there almost every day at the moment, in case she comes back.
Incapacitated and tied to a chair with climbing rope, Mordecai Grey would finally meet his end. Stabbed to death with an antique silver dagger. Finding the murder weapon is often a pivotal moment in any murder case, but sadly, not this time. The silver dagger had been dumped in an alley behind Sunvale Parade in a commercial wheelie bin. With no prints or trace evidence to go on, it was fortuitous that the only antiques dealer on Merlhaven, Ishmael Gauchi, remembered selling the piece just weeks before. But who did they sell it to? None other than Mordecai Grey. But was it really Mordecai? The transaction had been made with an envelope of cash, and the purchaser was wearing motorcycle leathers and a helmet, obscuring their identity. Ishmael stated that the buyer asked for the piece by its display case number, a very important point. Why? Because the dagger had only been available inside the store since the beginning of October, so the murderer or their accomplice must have visited the antiques dealer in that time.
Adam said he loved me, but I couldn't feel anything, like I was behind glass. Now he won't even talk to me at all.
It wasn't kids. I staged the break-in. Her daughter said she wanted to see her mum's body, but I'd already eaten the kidney and liver. You'd think everyone was doing transplants by the state of my mortuary. What do you mean they're in your lockup? An art installation of corpses? Are you mad?
Adam said he loved me, but I couldn't feel anything, like I was behind glass. Now he won't even talk to me at all.
People kill animals to eat them, but they won't eat things that are already dead. Instead, we think it's better to spend all that energy incinerating them or filling the planet with burial plots.
Did you steal my motorbike? I mean, you've taken everything else. I wouldn't have put it past you. Now I can't even earn money as a courier.
I don't want your money, Mordechai. I want revenge for what you did to her.
I killed them. I asked them for different wrapping paper. We hadn't run out. I killed my parents. I love all my patients. I even love you. But please, tell me what drew you to the undulating hills.
Technically, Pip's an antique, isn't he? How much do you think he'd be worth? Oh wait, you already know that, don't you? Did you steal my motorbike? I mean, you've taken everything else. I wouldn't put it past you. Now I can't even earn money as a courier.
I asked Leo how he thought I stole from customers while I was performing. He didn't have an answer. I asked to see the security footage to prove it wasn't me. He couldn't even look at me. I saw it for myself. Sitting on customers' laps, wrapping my arms around them and slipping their watches off their wrists. It was me, but it wasn't me. I can't explain it, but I didn't do it.
Do you have an addiction, or do you just thrive on deceit?
Stabbing is such an intimately visceral thing. It would be for me, anyway.
What do you mean you're donating it to the Orc Society? For free? What's 50% of nothing, Mordechai? What am I supposed to do now? Leo's fired me. I've got nothing. Please, Mordechai, don't screw me over.
I killed them. I asked them for different wrapping paper. We hadn't run out. I killed my parents.
No! That is not how I become the best tennis player in the world. You do not get to kill my sister and tell me I'm first now. I'm number 27. There were 26 failed experiments before us. I saw the bodies. Fetuses all scrunched up in pickle jars. Some of the clones were adolescents. How long have they been doing this? And how old were they supposed to be? Who am I supposed to be? You're twisting my words. I never said she was holding me back. She was my sister. How dare you? How dare you assume to know us? She was my soulmate. I heard them. They were talking about viability and survival rates. About adjustments they could make next time. I thought they loved us, but we were just a failed experiment.
I broke into the lab. I was terrified of the dead. But it was the only way I could spend time with my parents. I think eventually I just equated gutting people with getting attention.
I can't stay here even if I wanted to. I wouldn't be welcome. It's lucky they don't drown witches here anymore.
Or perhaps they're scared, now that they know I've found out. But they may come home in time. And then they can help me get Monday back.
Why were you at the bar, Mordechai? I don't remember seeing you, but you're on the security footage. And you went through my bag. Did you plant those things? Is this some kind of revenge?
I know the antiques dealer has a lot of colonial weapons and things. I think he's been dredging the ocean, to be honest.
I think she's your secret weapon. Where is she now? Finding a new sucker?
I've brought a knife with me. It's in my bag. I just wanted you to know that.
Spence is my mother's maiden name. My grandfather was Mayor Rickman Spence. I do not agree with his politics. He tried to drown my grandmother in the Aurora trials too.
I think my dad brought something with him back from the mines. Something that's scratching in the walls. I'm never going to get off this rock.
I love all my patients. I even love you. But please, tell me what drew you to the undulating hills.
Why did you make her pose naked? That is not what we agreed. She left me a note. A goodbye note. Saying that she'd cheated on me.
Ah, yes. Being a stubborn bitch. It's my secret weapon. I'm not giving up. The guy who runs the antique store, does he also buy things? I have some of my dad's stuff I think I can sell.
Monday Finch tells me you're not a good person, Maudie. Whatever could she mean? Luxyrus. It was created by the Triumvirate to protect themselves from spirits on Merlehaven. Then they banned it for being too powerful. It's not an evil cult, or I wouldn't have accepted the title.
We were supposed to be looking at rings this week. I wanted something antique. Not that we could afford it. I wonder how long I would have kept the pretense going if Adam hadn't found out. I think I really would have married him. Just so I didn't have to be alone.
Insurance, banking, telecoms. Johnsons didn't need funerals too. They were trying to capitalise on Steve's death. That's why I messed up their mortuary. I was angry.
I need him back. They hate me performing on my own. Even the Chronicle said, "Rest in peace, Otto Pipistrel, survived by his beloved and slightly less misogynistic puppet."
Did I tell you Mother and Father collect antiques? Ishmael is practically family. He saw that clock you gave us. He told me to burn it. You knew what it was, didn't you? I stole Mother's keycard to the lab. I had to know the truth. I found boxes and boxes of notes, records on all of their tests and observations and experiments. They lied to us. They're not our parents. I don't know who they are, but they've fled.
That stuff with Layla, it's made me a pariah, so Pip gets all the offers nowadays.
Yeah, I kill less people.
I'm not really in the right headspace to perform, anyway.
Yeah, he's sober.
I'm a bit miffed they didn't want me to do the voice, though.
Yeah, me too, pal. Yes.
I found a letter from the company that hired him. They did warn him. He was only supposed to be down there a few hours, and yet he was down there for days. He ignored the warnings. Why would he do that?
He was having an affair, which drove his wife to suicide. She couldn't ignore it anymore, so he basically killed his whole family one way or another. Mr. Britton, music teacher and marriage advocate.
I've been trying to call you. Why aren't you picking up? Look, I've thought of a way that you can make this all up to me, right? I just need 5 minutes alone with Pip. Please, I'm not going to run off with him. I just need to make sure he's okay.
Talk to me. I know your mother drowned in the Aurora trials, Maudie. Us witches should stick together. Hmm?
They deceived us. I remember Mother, if I can still call her that, showing us a photograph of Monday's surrogate. We must have been young because I remember thinking she had pretty hair. After Monday died, I found the photo again, in a box in the lab. It was just a picture cut out of a magazine.
cannot tell her that you're paying me. She thinks I'm paying you for a portrait, not the other way around. I swear, Mordechai, I love this woman, so do not upset her.
Have you been in the antique shop recently?
I've looked in the window, but I've never been inside. Their prices are a bit overblown.
You know Ishmael?
Is that the owner? No. I spoke to him on the phone once about selling some watches. He wasn't interested.
Jenna is always antiquing. And I have to hear about everything she's seen.
Does she collect antique weapons?
You need to ask her about that.
Does Jenna own a motorbike?
She does.
Ever run errands for you?
We're besties. What do you think?
Yeah, I've got a motorbike, so what?
Fits the description we've got.
What description? It's got 2 wheels. I've been doing work as a courier just to make ends meet.
For the antique store?
Sometimes.
Ever pick up a silver dagger?
I'm bored. I want a lawyer.
We have several of those.
You have several knives?
The manor. We have a display of them. They were used a lot in luxurious rituals.
Is this one yours?
Could be. I buy them for the collection whenever I see them.
They get their antiques from lots of different places. Auctions, mostly.
What about Ishmael's shop? Do you go there often?
Not really. I'm not into old things.
But you were there a few weeks before Mordechai's murder.
Oh, yes. Father asked me to collect something for him.
Did you look around?
For a minute. Ishmael had to fetch the item from storage.
I told you I don't have a key. There was a spare key above the door, but that's not much use when you're locked inside.
Locked inside?
He liked to lock the doors when he painted me.
So you knew where the spare key was?
Obviously, I just told you.
Did you visit the butterfly park the day of the murder?
Briefly, yes.
And what were you doing there?
Looking at the butterflies. Thinking about the sheer force of will needed to become someone new. Why?
Just trying to establish a timeline.
Aren't we all?
Have you been in the antique shop recently?
I've looked in the window, but I've never been inside. Their prices are a bit overblown.
You know Ishmael?
Is that the owner? No. I spoke to him on the phone once about selling some watches. He wasn't interested.
I had a locksmith make 2 keys for Mordecai and change the lock.
We only found one.
Well, then you've still got one to find.
Do you have a key?
No. Why would I? Keeps one above the doorway.
You knew about the spare?
Didn't everyone? I scatter ashes at the Butterfly Park all the time.
Wearing disposable overshoes?
Yeah. When you scatter as many dead people as I do, you don't want to be treading them about forever. My own shoes wouldn't have a trace. Jenna is always antiquing. And I have to hear about everything she's seen.
Does she collect antique weapons?
You need to ask her about that.
Does Jenna own a motorbike?
She does.
Ever run errands for you?
We're besties. What do you think?
Didn't know about any key. Was never offered one.
Can you pick locks?
No, I'm a ventriloquist, not a thief.
We've got a record of a theft.
I stole a chocolate bar when I was 12, so thanks for bringing that up. I'm, waiting to meet someone there.
So you've been to the Butterfly Park recently?
Yeah, I go there almost every day at the moment, you know, in case she comes back. Yeah, I've got a motorbike, so what?
Fits the description we've got.
What description? It's got 2 wheels. I've been doing work as a courier just to make ends meet.
For the antique store?
Sometimes.
Ever pick up a silver dagger?
I'm bored. I want a lawyer.
I didn't know about the key.
Did he ever leave you alone in the loft?
No. I don't get myself into those kinds of scrapes. I've been in and out over the past few weeks. They're appealing our permit decision.
When was last time?
Day before Halloween? Whenever I turn up, they just make a big song and dance about having to clear up so many butterfly corpses. We have several of those.
You have several knives?
The manor. We have a display of them. They were used a lot in luxurious rituals.
Is this one yours?
Could be. I buy them for the collection whenever I see them.
Mr. Gray's cleaner says that she discovered you alone inside the studio a couple of weeks before his death.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that. Monday left her coat behind. I went back to get it.
How did you get in?
The spare key. It wasn't hidden very well. But I was only in there a moment and I put it right back.
Do you ever visit the Butterfly Sanctuary?
My parents were working there. Not anymore, though.
We think the murderer visited the sanctuary sometime in the days leading up to Mordecai Gray's murder. We found fibres at the scene.
Well, as I said, my parents worked there, so there was probably some cross-contamination. They get their antiques from lots of different places. Auctions, mostly.
What about Ishmael's shop? Do you go there often?
Not really. I'm not into old things.
But you were there a few weeks before Mordechai's murder.
Oh, yes. Father asked me to collect something for him.
Did you look around?
For a minute. Ishmael had to fetch the item from storage.
I told him to get one, so yes, I knew about the spare key.
Did you ever use it?
A couple of times, yes. That man was probably late to his own funeral.
Did you go to his funeral?
No. Did you? I'm a patron at the Butterfly Sanctuary. Obviously I go.
On Halloween?
No, not on Halloween. Actually, not for a few weeks. I am so behind on my work.
And what work is that again?
Making clocks. I'm a clockmaker.
Didn't know about any key. Was never offered one.
Can you pick locks?
No, I'm a ventriloquist, not a thief.
We've got a record of a theft.
I stole a chocolate bar when I was 12, so thanks for bringing that up.
No.
I'm, waiting to meet someone there.
So you've been to the butterfly park recently?
Yeah, I go there almost every day at the moment, you know, in case she comes back.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got a motorbike, so what?
Fits the description we've got.
What description? It's got 2 wheels. I've been doing work as a courier just to make ends meet.
For the antique store?
Sometimes.
Ever pick up a silver dagger?
I'm bored. I want a lawyer.
Yes.
Ah, looks like you took a wrong turn. Sucks to be you. I wonder who the real killer is.
You killed my sister!
Well, that's it for the Grey exhibition. Time to pack up the paintings until next year. I wonder if they'll ever solve his murder. Probably not. Anyway, you better head off. Unless you want to do some overtime?